Kelly Surratt, and I'm the composer, book writer, and lyricist.
Hi, I'm Annie Raczko, and I play Jade, one of the trios in the mom group chat.
I'm Sydney Wesson, and I'm playing Justine Clearwater.
Hi, my name is Jessie Macbeth, and I'm playing Renata.
So, it really honestly all came, you don't write a musical about motherhood until you become a mother, right? So it kind of all came about because I became a mom, and I realized and sort of recognized that in musical theater, a lot of the moms are supporting roles, they're the best friends, but they're not necessarily the leading roles. And as you know, theater is kind of revolutionizing right now and kind of taking a step back and looking where the underrepresented voices are, and mothers and women are part of that. And so I saw kind of a vacancy and a need there, but I also I became a mom, and I experienced this sort of, I expected this rose-colored glasses, perfect, natural, I'd become this natural mother and it would just happen in this beautiful way. And it just didn't happen that way for me. And I live in a neighborhood where all the moms, on my street are becoming mothers, have been mothers. And I just looked at them and myself and I was like, ours is a story that needs to be told. It's a story that needs to be expressed and celebrated. These are the women that are out on my street and their kid is having a tantrum and, they're fighting with the stroller. And, these women are amazing and they have incredible bravery and courage and moxie to get through every day, as mothers, as modern American mothers. And I just felt that this was a story that needed to be told. And so I just kind of started exploring the two different main characters. One is a stay-at-home mom, a bubbly stay-at-home mom, and then the other one, Justine, that our beautiful and talented Miss Sydney Wesson is playing, is a workaholic powerhouse, really doesn't take to motherhood naturally, and kind of what that looked like when the two of them came together. And so that's sort of how Moms the Musical was born, just out of this need to express and tell the story of all these amazing women and my own story as a mother.
A lot of my friends, I'm in my early 30s, a lot of my friends are mothers now, and I always struggled with how can I be a teacher, an actor, a person, and a mom on top of that? Because you read, the book that you get is What to Expect When You're Expecting. There's no book after that. And I think the book of this musical is a helpful answer to like what comes next, and that there's no perfect way to parent. There's no perfect way to be a mom. I just recently read Glennon Doyle's Untamed, and the idea of that motherhood is not martyrdom. And like you could see that, and it was also really nice to be on the audition line and talk to the other actresses who were moms, and like I asked them like, how do you do this, how do you navigate it? And having Kelly as kind of like a role model of like, here's a woman who can still be a creative and still be a mom and not have that sense of self-erasure that was a fear of mine, thinking about, okay, I don't want to, because you lose your name, right? You're not Kelly, you're mom.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you navigate that? And I think the best way to navigate anything is through a musical.
Well, I think you've hit on something so important, Annie, that Sydney's character really goes through, is this like, who is this woman in the mirror? This isn't me. I'm this powerhouse career woman. I'm the boss. I'm this.
She's the predator.
Right. She's a predator. And here she is with this newborn baby, and it's not going well. And it's not happening the right way for her. And I think that this character really goes through that journey of like redefining who she is as a mom, but also holding on to who she is as a woman.
Still is. Yeah, for sure. I actually reached out to a really good friend of mine who is my age and has been married for a few years and has just had a baby. She's 2 months old, and she's like my childhood best friend. And I actually reached out to her and I was like, hey, like, what has this experience been like for you? Like, you're still who you are up to this point, right? And she said to me, and it was really helpful actually going into the callback, she said to me, you know, my life before I had my child feels more like a blur than what it is now, because it's so much more complete. So she said she can see how so easily women and mothers lose that identity when they have a child. And I was like, oh my God. So that Justine's struggle in this is that she's not ready for that to happen. She doesn't want that to happen. And, you know, it doesn't need to happen, of course. But that was really eye-opening for me to hear that from firsthand account, somebody my age who is going through the exact thing right now. So,
And I think shame exists only in a vacuum, and like and it's when things are not talked about, then that's when people feel most alone. And in this year that has been so isolating and socially distant, having a story like this, and like for me to be able to have a conversation with my own mom about, you took 8 years off when I was born and my brother was born, and then didn't go back to work until my sister was born 7 years later. How did you still maintain friendships? How were you very present and drove us to all the dance recitals and soccer games and all that kind of stuff? And how did you still retain your sense of self? And like, I brought like being in this musical is actually like I'm having a deeper relationship with my mom. And so I think that that's really cool. I also like the fact that I've noticed that like the mom chat, and like every time I read the script, I just laugh like a lot, and it's just really nice. And that like Jessie and I, as two of the trio in the mom group chat, I feel like we're kind of like the Greek chorus of the play, that kind of like navigate
Driving the
through,
story.
or like your muses from Hercules,
Oh yeah.
kind of just like, here you go, and offering a different like insight into motherhood. And I think Justine and Mia start off the play as two kind of opposing life energies, and then terrible things happen to them as they do in plays, and then they have to kind of reform and then grow closer together.
You know, it was really fun reading through it and hearing all the music all the way through. And I really like, kind of like Annie just touched on it, like it's really fun, like seeing how um, the mom group chat, and especially Renata, like they all come in with different styles, different parenting styles, different perspectives, different like life experience, different career goals. And it's fun to figure out, or to like realize throughout the whole show, that there is no one way to parent. There's no one mother. There's no one definition. There's no one path for one person. So comparing yourself to others will just kind of make the whole situation a lot more difficult. And like forging your own path, and the path that's right for you makes the most sense in your situation, and ends up being the most fulfilling and satisfying one. And so reading through it is just really interesting, because like you really get from the script a very clear image of like who Renata is, who Jade is. Like Renata is very much like almost like a little bit hippie-ish. Like she's really into like incense, like her child's name Wolf. Like, she loves guitars. She loves playing music. She loves being creative. And like, that's definitely, it seems like her main mode. Like she's just within this bubble. And so that is reflected in her child, in like the way she speaks, and the way that she says to everyone, like, let's be calm, like, like try being soothing to the baby, so it's just really interesting, because then you get from like the other perspective, like Jade has a totally different point of view, Mia has a totally different point of view, Justine has a totally different point of view. And then instead of, I think the crux of one of the nice like climaxes of the show is when everyone's offering different ways to soothe the baby, to calm down the baby, and everyone has a different point of view. They're all coming in, they're all like saying one thing, but nothing ends up working. Something does end up working, but it's fun and like great seeing everyone's different perspective on it, and then realizing that there are really no wrong answers. Like one thing is going to work one time, one thing's going to work the next. And I really like my character. She's just funny. She's like funky. She's and playing someone that's has kind of a edge, but also a very developed, I feel like, storyline is really fun.
It's been less than a year since I wrote the first initial script. And it's been wild to see the women come to life. I mean, when you're writing a show and you're composing the music and you're working on it, it really is just an intellectual exercise at the end of the day. It's these three beautiful women and the other women, and there are two men in the show as well, that bring the characters to life, that make them breathe, that make them just shine. And it's so powerful to, I mean, I can't tell you, we had callbacks in New York. You know, we were actually able to have in-person callbacks. We had virtual callbacks, and then we had in-person callbacks. And the in-person callbacks were just the most incredible experience, because I was hearing all these, like, I mean, these guys are like Broadway pros. Wait till you hear them sing. You will be like, oh my God, they're amazing. And they were singing my music. And it was just such an honor and such a blessing to watch it just come to life like that, because it's in your head for so long and you're dreaming about it and you're thinking about it and you're thinking it through. And oh, please, there were tons of rewrites that happened. I mean, the mom group chat alone went through 3 or 4 different iterations of where they were going to be, who they were going to be, where they were, you know. There was so much rewriting that had to happen, as with any musical. And there will continue to be rewrites that will happen, because we are in the workshop phase. So part of the workshop is the development of the script and the story. But it's just been honestly magical for me. Like, I have to say that the callbacks in New York were hands down one of the greatest days of my life. Like, wedding, 2 kids' births, and then like callbacks. So
they made the creative team made the callback process so joyous. Like, from the email saying, like, you have a callback, please make bold, strong choices and be prepared for a redirect. And I was like, oh yes, we're gonna play. And you walk in and Caitlin's there greeting you, temperature check. And then you walk into the room and there was just so much love there that you could see on the other side of the table, and how much camaraderie there was there, that it just allowed us to, at least for me, to be more free and to be more open. It's probably hands down the most fun callback I have ever gone to.
I totally felt that too. I totally felt that. I remember walking in at one point and just being like, I love the energy in here, like, for real.
I think you actually said that.
Yeah. It was a really warm and welcoming space. And it was also just like, I mean, it was my first in-person audition callback since everything happened, since February 2020. So it was a really special moment. And it was like dreary and rain, like pouring rain outside. But being in there, it was like the warmest, brightest place ever. So you wouldn't even know that it was pouring rain outside.
Well, and just a giant shout out to our director, choreographer, who cannot be here today, Victoria Raczko-Jade. She brings that light and that love and that energy, and just, you know, she has so much passion for this show, and what she's going to do with it is going to be, it's going to be awesome. Intimate show, you know, that has 8 characters. It's a smaller show. It's definitely a more intimate show. But hey, I mean, if Broadway calls, Magda, we're not going to say no. So, you know, I mean, obviously the dream is, you know, we believe this is a really important story to tell. We hope that one day we will have, you know, a spot somewhere in New York where we can even host Mother Days for women in New York, who can come to the show, bring your breast pumps, bring your diaper bags, bring your children, be comfortable, and watch a show that's all about you, that celebrates you. That's the dream. I mean, ultimately, you know, we create, as a theater maker and a creator of musical theater, my goal is to write something that makes people think, that makes people feel, that moves people, and they walk out of there and they go, well, you know, maybe I'm going to think about that a little bit differently the next time around. And I think, you know, this is a show for that. It really teaches a little bit about motherhood. You know, my co-book writer, my assistant book writer is a gentleman. He's a male and he's not a mother. And he talks about how the show does have a universal appeal, that even though he is a man, he learned so much about motherhood from it and his own mother. And even if you aren't a mother, you have a mother or you know a mother, and so there really is something for everyone. And the story is hopefully compelling enough that it will attract more than just mothers, but it is something that really does celebrate those women. And I think, that's the dream. That's the goal for the show, is get it out there so that these women are honored, seen, and heard in whatever way we can. We're doing a workshop, not a reading. It is a fully staged, fully choreographed workshop of the show. It will be live at Ripley Greer, the Ripley Greer Performance Space, and open to industry professionals. And we will also be live streaming it to the general public. And all of the live stream ticket sales are going to an organization called Moms for Moms, New York City. They're an amazing 501c3 nonprofit organization that supports women in postpartum through, they provide diapers, they provide all kinds of support for single mothers in New York. And tickets are only $5. So it's not a break the bank kind of thing. We even have a student ticket price. So, it's very affordable, and it's also just going to a good cause. So we kind of turned something we needed to do, which was a workshop, into something that we were able to give back on. So that's kind of cool too.